Well, speaking about the long term as well as some of the measures that you've decided to take in the medium term, and I want to talk about the e-rupee launch that you've done, because this is something the RBI is betting very big on, which is the CBDC side of the pieces that they're pushing. But how do you see this, and why did you believe that you wanted to do this, or you have a right to win in this?
So I was invited along with a few others back in April by RBI to have a discussion on CBDC being open, e-rupee being opened up to non-banks. Earlier, it was allowed only for banks for the first year.
Right.
Because it's very easy for banks to do it. Like you already have the person's savings account, you can just convert it into cash the way you're withdrawing from ATM. But clearly, as we have seen in many sector after sector, ultimately the regulator realizes that maybe the non-banks could do a better job in terms of experience. So we literally did it in a matter of months. We executed end to end with our partners, RBI, NPCI, and Yes Bank, who's our partner. So CBDC, in short, is digital cash, and I think cash in digital form has many advantages. It's as good as physical cash.
Okay.
But it's digital. That transaction is not part of the banking.
Okay.
So it is not known to any banks. No one can trace it. It's fully anonymous. Just like any note which is out there, the only person who knows about that note is RBI.
Yeah.
Same way, this digital note is known only by RBI. So I think it has all the advantages of cash.
Upasana, since we're talking about future bets and future opportunities, as you look at the landscape evolving today, and I remember you said that, the marketplace expects us to focus on the competition, but we want to focus much more on the customer. We're obsessed with the customer, not obsessed with the competition. So how do you see the landscape evolving? How do you look at competition? How do you look at what else you can do or be for the customer?
So I think one thing we've seen in the last 10-15 years is that there's been a lot of digitization for finance in India. But most of that digitization has helped people like you and me, who I think are, top 150 million Indians. And that's where all the private banks and, NBFCs have innovated. So that really is not playing out in terms of finance reaching the tier 2, tier 3 Indians, whether it is a user or a small merchant. So when we think about finance and we think about democratizing financial products, payments is like the least common denominator. And so we know now that, 400 million Indians are transacting digitally using UPI, wallet, their smartphone, etc. So that we continue to double down and grow on. But after that, what is there? There is, distribution of access to credit. There is access to insurance. There is access to investment products.
Yeah.
And in all of these, there will always be people, who are super smart. They can get a financial advisor, or their bank will help them invest in the right things or use the right products. But for the masses, people who are earning 40,000 rupees, 60,000 rupees per month, we see that there is a huge gap. Even if they have taken credit at some point, they have a decent credit score, in all likelihood, due to various procedural requirements, they will not get. And salaried people still have an advantage, but interestingly, most of India is, self-employed, so not salaried. So self-employed में finance में बहुत challenge है. So our focus is, given that we have such a large user base and also small merchant base, we first connect with them over daily life payments, whether we are enabling the merchant to accept payments or we are enabling the user to make the payments. Now, after that, after looking at their KYC, their profile data, etc., we are trying to now diversify in terms of giving them access to the right investment products. So, for example, my user is not so savvy, like they can go to a Zerodha and grow and, figure out how they want to invest their money in, stocks and options, etc. So, the products have to be super simple and they have to be fairly risk-free because they will not be able to appreciate the risk and reward. So that's sort of where we are trying to go, that can we work with the OEMs or the financial institutions, banks, insurance companies, mutual fund companies, and can we bring these very super simple products onto our app?
And your financial life, if an AI were to construct it, how would it construct it to your best benefit? Now that's a problem that's definitely unsolved.
Is that a problem you want to solve?
Definitely a very interesting problem that keeps me awake. And when I keep hearing about the advances that are coming and the fact that now AI is becoming cheaper and cheaper, for sure it's a space that we are definitely looking at.
the question being asked is, how many is too many? Fintech or tech fin companies in India, how many is too many? Bipin, I want to start by asking.
So TechFin, I would say TechFin, there is still a lot of space, and a lot of people can come in, because I would say as technology company building for banks and being a solution provider, there is endless opportunity now, especially with AI, how the world of finance and banking is going to change. But when you look at fintech, who's the last large fintech who was born last 2 years, 3 years? Actually, pretty much no one, right? Everyone is pre-COVID, most of them. And so the investors have already given you the message with their purse strings, which are closed for anything which is happening in fintech. So I would argue country as large as India should not be in this situation. There should be a lot more money. There should be a lot more money.
Banks. Why shouldn't we have 100 banks?
India as a country needs far more many fintechs, far more investment into what's going to, because the world of fintech is not just one world. It's finance, it's technology.
Yeah.
And now with AI,
yeah,
you put it all together. What can you get? Your imagination is the only constraint you have. So I think there's
room for more.
There is huge job. Otherwise, I wouldn't be more bullish today on MobiKwik than I was when I started. I think everything that is happening in finance in India is now at a 10x, 100x scale compared to even a few years ago. Now, I'm not talking about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Compared to 5 years ago, pre-COVID, things are happening at 10x, 100x level. Now, what will happen in the next 5 and 10 years? Solutions may not be the same. And I think innovation is the key. New solutions. We talked about CBDC. We talked about account aggregator. We talked about finance.
Yeah.
I think the opportunity is endless.
Banking aspirations, as and when that opens up, if at all, at some point it opens up?
So I would say never to anything. Because whether MobiKwik itself will be just a bank, I don't think so. But what makes sense in the scheme of things for us to provide certain solutions to our customers, never say never.
Never say never. Upasana, I want to get into this question with you, because I think we still have a dearth of female founders in this country. You're one of the very few, and you're one of the very, very few in the fintech space. What has that been like for you? Walking into a room which probably still consists of only men in suits. What's that been like for you? What is it that you would like to tell women who are looking at entering this space?
Anything is possible. And, you can't let such constraints or soft sort of environmental factors stop you from what you think you can achieve. I mean, it's true. Whether you're trying to be a founder, whether you're trying to be, a pilot, whether you're trying to be Shireen, I mean, there's always a first. And if you will be a pioneer in something, you will have to work a little bit extra to prove yourself. And I think that's what it has been. I think now I can tell you that I've been doing this for many years. So now it's easier for me to, get the right level of respect. And also I'm able to charm people with my personality. But I think in the early years...
I agree.
In the early years, it results in self-doubt. And, you think twice that, can I do this, And then
you also feel pressured. I remember you saying once that you went into a meeting right before you were actually going into your C-section, into delivery, because did you feel compelled to prove a point and hence have to do that? Because there's been pushback from women saying that, look, this also puts the burden of expectations on other women of having to perform at that kind of level. Different life stages.
So firstly, the incident you said is not really a true incident.
No.
My C-section was planned on a Saturday and I was working till Friday, but that was by choice because, I think I had a comfortable pregnancy. I worked very hard through it, but I think that's how I liked it. I like to be active and upbeat. And so it was a choice. It was not forced on me. But yeah, I mean, I will say that we should not create crazy expectations. There are times when you have to give 200% to your work, and you need to have a support system to help you in those situations, especially if you are also a working mother. But there will be times when your personal life needs you 200%. So I found that balance.
Being a woman entrepreneur, being a female entrepreneur, when you're sitting in meetings in a roadshow for IPO, guess what? How many women you meet?
Nobody.
Zero.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, while you may say everything is, of course, it's based on merit and of the company that you're building and the business you're building, but it is hard to do that, and it's hard to achieve that. And with that, Upasana has actually, having led the IPO, being the face of the IPO for MobiKwik, and done this, and being on those one-on-one chats and fights with every particular person who was involved in this process. I think she's broken a glass ceiling,
Yeah.
which I hope inspires more women to say that we can start a company and we can take it to IPO.
I certainly hope so. Since you're talking about affirmations in your playlist, end with the song that embodies how you're feeling today about MobiKwik and about life in general.
Oh my God, ये तो मैंने सोचा नहीं था.
भाई अब कर दो.
Oh my God.
Come on, Bipin, help her.
कोई बताओ. अच्छा, लक्ष्य तो पाना ही था.
हाँ तो गाना तो गाओ.
हाँ यही रास्ता है तेरा, तूने यही पाना है. हाँ यही रास्ता है तेरा. I forgot.
Share the note.
जाना है.
लक्ष्य तो हर हाल में पाना है.
And what is the Lakshya for MobiKwik? A year down the line, where do you believe we will see you?
Well, hopefully far more relaxed, far, hopefully bigger business, better business, and, having even stronger and bigger ambition for the future than we have today.
We hope that the two of you continue to not just chase your ambition, but also ensure that your dreams are a reality. Thanks very much for sharing MobiKwik story, but also your life stories with us. And we wish the two of you the very best of luck. Appreciate you joining us here on Young Turks Reloaded. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this very interesting conversation with the team from MobiKwik. Lots of advice and nuggets there on living life, building a sustainable enterprise, but more importantly, chasing your ambition and your dreams. From all of us here on the team for now, many thanks for watching. Do stay tuned. There's a lot more coming up right here on CNBC TV 18.